this is Jay. Welcome to Agapao Church. Let me introduce my office, okay? Let's go! This is our church office.
Hi, my name is Jin. I am a member of the Agapao Church here in Orange County, Southern California. We became a member of the PCA member in October of 2019. We started off as a small Bible study group among friends who were really thirsty for the truth. And actuality is through God's providence, Jay was able to study at the Korean Theology School in General New Church in Pennsylvania. I guess our primary mission or our goal is to let everyone know who Emmanuel Swedenborg is and to come to know and to learn the heavenly doctrine so that they can change their mind, they can renew their heart and live a life that the Lord really wanted us to live. And I just want to say I'm waiting really hard to meet all of you guys. Okay, bye. Thank you.
Hi, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
Hi, everybody. We miss you. We want to see you soon.
Me too.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Fling to the breeze our glorious banner, emblem of heavenly love and light, bearing on high to greet the morning, clearing away the shades of night. Under thy folds with heads uncovered, we take each other by the hand, salute and dedicate our talents to that for which thy colors stand. Thy white the truth shows us the pathway up to a higher, better life. Thy crimson robe gives us the power to conquering temptation's strife. Wave on, dear flag, wave on triumphant over our home and summer school, as year by year we meet together, learning to live the golden rule. I give my heart, my head, and my hands to my church. One God, one church, and our flag, love and wisdom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Thanks be to God the Father Almighty. Thanks be to God the giver of bread. Thanks be to God the Father eternal. Thanks be to God forever. Oh, the Lord is good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and the rain and the apple seed. The Lord is good to me, and every seed I sow will grow into a tree, and someday there'll be apples there for everyone in the world to share. The Lord is good to me. 'Neath these times
Hello, this is June 7th, coming to you live from the Bath Church of the New Jerusalem in Bath, Maine. Look, we have people here for the first time in 12 weeks. So here's a picture of our sanctuary. There's the altar. There's that wonderful piece of scripture that tells everybody what we're all about. You might want to take a minute and digest that. There's the pulpit, of course. We have a piano, and we have a beautiful organ up in the loft. And our organist and pianist, Jesse Feinberg, thank you, Jesse. And we alternate days, piano, organ. And it's great at both. So everybody wave. Okay, we're having a great time here. Wish you were here.
Hello, I'm Hart Lipsky, President of the Calgary New Church Society in Alberta, Canada. We are one of the societies of the Western Canada Conference. Members and friends have been gathering in the Calgary area for 52 years now, meeting in various community halls, hotel conference rooms, and private homes. Over the years, we have had ministers, guest ministers, lay leaders, and members lead us in the worship service weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and bi-monthly. Recently, we just had our first Zoom visit. Most of our members are within a 30-mile radius of our usual meeting places, but some come from up to 70 miles north and south. One couple sometimes travels 185 miles from another province to join us for service. We were honored to host a convention in the Olds College in Olds, Alberta, Canada in 1990. Greetings from all of us here, and thank you for providing the online resources to help us to stay connected through this challenging time. Best wishes for an inspiring and productive first ever virtual convention.
The Church of the Good Shepherd is an open community of spiritual thinkers grounded in Swedenborgian Christianity. We seek to enliven the world with the light and loving care of the divine Creator in Kitchener, Ontario. Our church, one of the earliest few in the Waterloo region, helped to lay the groundwork for many of the aspects that make our twin cities of 500,000 people so vibrant. Started in an apple orchard as a discussion group in 1833, and now gathering here, our church building has now stood as you see it in downtown Kitchener since 1935, with community volunteers maintaining the grounds, gardens, and our building. We love coming together to praise God, gather in community, and help host events like weddings and baptisms. Within our doors, we gather for Sunday worship, discussion, and book groups, as well as meditations and other spiritual practices. And recently, we've begun to host music concerts and local musicians through our Shepherd Stage community venue. Downstairs, and throughout our halls, from spiritual care to counseling, AA, music lessons, and spiritual dance groups and others throughout the week, our church building has been often very lively. And as the relatively new minister of this church, I've been amazed at the level of care, insight, and the expressions of divinity that you encounter within others of this strong community. There's something about Swedenborgian congregations that seem to magnify the love and warmth within its walls and throughout its community. Please come visit us as our doors start to reopen and allow the comfort, wisdom, and shelter of an inclusive, deeply connected and caring community to warm your heart and illuminate your mind. All are welcome.
The Detroit, Michigan Church of the Holy City was founded in the year 1839. Our rich history, handed down orally through the years, comes from many devoted church members. The very first gatherings were in a Detroit home with a few members until they acquired the cathedral-sized church, often called the Forest Avenue Church. There was a magnificence about the architecture of this building. From the 1930s to the 1940s, the congregation averaged 100 people. They looked forward to church as the social event of the week. During the heyday of the Detroit church, There were the Locks, the Lows, the Ives, the Johnsons, the Leitners, Joyce Fatlin Feckerty, the Halletts, Hallecks, Bergmans, and Cudwitts, as well as others whose families today have deep ties to the church and to the Almont New Church Assembly Ministry north of the city. The Forest Avenue building was sold and a new building was built in Northwest Detroit with our name on the cornerstone. Irma Guest remembers this church with great fondness because it was there that she married a Swedenborgian, Philip Guest, and she joined the church that she loves still today. The famous author Judith Guest, who wrote the script for the movie Ordinary People, along with Marilyn Lau and Barbara Pennebaker, were also married in the beautiful new sanctuary. There were very active youth and young adult programs at both the Forest Avenue and the Northwest Detroit churches. The younger children were the Johnny Appleseeders, and the older youth were in the Senior League led by Ruth Brandow. Of special note, Helen Keller once visited our church in Northwest Detroit while she was in town, giving an inspirational talk to the Lions Club for the Blind. Unfortunately, in 1967, the Detroit race riots, like the racial uprisings today in Minneapolis and around our country, brought a tension in the city that caused a downturn in attendance, and the congregation sold that building as well. In the early 1970s, the Detroit church congregation relocated north of Detroit, and we have rented the beautiful historic Royal Oak Women's Club building ever since, thanks to Johanna Locke. We welcome all who are seeking a deeper inner life and spiritual growth. It is because of the legacy of many generous Swedenborgians that we are able to continue to worship and to serve in our beloved Royal Oak community. We give thanks for the Anderson family, the Locke family, Ruth Brandow, Geraldine Trombley, among others, who have bequeathed gifts to our church for future generations. Indeed, we stand on the shoulders of great souls who came before us, who urge us forward in faith during a time of great uncertainty and unrest. In the words of the great Helen Keller, although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it.
Here we have your National Swedenborgian Church, the Church of the Holy City in Washington, D.C., erected in 1895. It took only 1 year to complete. We are proud that this church has been on the forefront of many of the social issues of our time. We are an inclusive church who believes all faith paths are good. Our church allowed for the first interfaith, first interracial, and same-sex weddings in Washington, D.C. A new renaissance is happening at the Holy City. Under the leadership of our pastor, the Reverend Richard L. Taffel, we are not just a brick-and-mortar church, but a spiritual and holy place. This is the Corcoran Street side. Newlyweds often use the wall as a handsome backdrop during weddings. Check out the gargoyles. Above here are the 7 Angels of Revelation, designed by Alice Archer Sewell James, daughter of then pastor Frank Sewell. Look at the new dining room window. It was walled up, and when liberated just last year, we found that it had been burned. Be surprised by the newly restored dining room. Convention and many others assist Holy City in making the church ever more useful. 3 years ago, the roof of this room collapsed and we spent the last 2 years rebuilding it. The famous spiral staircases, constructed all in one piece, adorned with elements of the New England arts and crafts movement. Aren't they gorgeous? The Grand Hall and Sanctuary. I think a convention was held here in the late 1800s. The last was at our centennial in '84. The Lamb Studio Creation Window, also called Scudder Window, and Raphael Window, designed and made by Tiffany Studios in New York. What the Paul Sperry Memorial Organ has going for it is an organ fun with very little in it. It is played and resonates beautifully. Though the sanctuary acoustics are great, we intend to install a comprehensive sound system to accommodate modern demands. This green room serves at concerts and weddings. Note our ministers' gallery. Reverends Jonathan and Andy's pictures still need to be hung. The Building Fund loan is also financing new air conditioning. Note the new air conditioning return. The parlor is a favorite room of everyone using the church. Small receptions are often held here. Our library is much loved by our congregation, by paying guests like ABC or BBC, or artists shooting their videos, and wedding couples. Reverend Taffel uses the upstairs chapel for his spiritual entrepreneur dinners, workshops, Zen meditation, and Kundalini yoga, and much, much more. Note the multi-splits already in place and operating. Recently, we had the pleasure of young ballet dancers performing here for the movie Joy of Dancing. Our pastor and our leadership are working hard to put in place new ways of serving the neighbor. Our new members like what we do. Pray with us, and that we may grow and prosper.
Welcome to the Church of the Holy City in Wilmington, Delaware. We have been a church here in this city since 1858, when the original building was constructed in a location further down into the city center. And then about 60 years later, the sanctuary was moved stone by stone to its current location right here. And that's when our parish hall was added to the building. This is our parish hall where we gather for coffee hour and other events, including where we hold our famous lobster and wreath sale in December of each year. Also, we have these photographs and paintings over here of our church. This one in its original location, and this an early ink sketch of the church in its new location. And finally, another rendition of the second iteration of our church. This is another section of our parish hall, a cozy meeting spot where we will often hold our trustees meetings. And on the mantle, we have some photographs of early members of the church. We have beautiful stained glass windows here that were dedicated to 3 integral early members of the church congregation. And these windows were designed by the stained glass artist Henry Rind Young.
Greetings from all of us at Cambridge Swedenborg Chapel. We are in the heart of Harvard Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and our chapel has been here since 1901, when it was built to house the Cambridge Society of the New Jerusalem and also serve as the chapel for the New Church Theological School that was right next door. The theological school, as most of you know, has since moved, so now it is just us on this corner. We are the last remaining plot of land on our block, not owned by Harvard University. Our congregation in Cambridge is small, but always growing just a little bit, bringing in new members each year. We are also very proud to share our chapel with other worshiping communities. We host 3 other churches that worship on Sundays with us. One at 9 a.m., one at 12:30 after our service, and then another at 2:30. This is a wonderful way for our chapel to be more of use and also certainly to help us to meet our expenses. We are known as a unique wedding venue and host weddings every year. We are also known as a great space for theater and had the opportunity to host the Actors Shakespeare Company a couple of years ago and hope to do so again. We do also a monthly evening Taizé service, which is a great opportunity for us to use the candlelight in our church, which is just lovely. So that's on the first Tuesdays of the month. Our chapel has been through a lot of exciting changes in the last year, and we have hopes of building what we wish to call the Helen Keller Spiritual Life Center on our property, as an outreach to share more of Helen's spiritual legacy and also to share more of her faith and the faith that supports and buoys us. So we have high hopes for the future and for the way in which we can impact our community in Cambridge and also the larger world by sharing the message of our church, which we love so much. We hope you come and visit us soon. Many blessings.
In front of the church. The church was established in 1888, and this particular building was built in 1924.
When I think of the Pawnee Rock Church, I can't help but think about the many traditions that have become a part of our lives. Once a year we have breakfast and church up on the rock.
The tomb is empty. He is gone, and I know not where they have laid him.
Every other year, we celebrate Easter with a sunrise service.
What do you mean? I cannot understand.
Some of the people of the church have taken part in the play for many years. Once a year, we meet with the Pretty Prairie Church to enjoy an outdoor service at Sterling Lake. Our Christmas service has a live nativity. If you ever visit our church in Pawnee Rock, you will want to take a short trip a mile north to see the monument that this small town is named after. Pawnee Rock is one of the most famous and beautiful landmarks on the Santa Fe Trail.
Welcome to Church of the Open Word, Garden Chapel. We're located in West St. Louis County in a city called Creve Coeur. Our building was erected in 1958 and has continued to offer services every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. We think of ourselves as a welcoming church. Let's go inside and take a look at the sanctuary. Our sanctuary was modeled after the Wayfarers Chapel, in that the architecture all points to the chancel area, where the Holy Word is displayed in a glass-walled repository that overlooks a garden. While our congregation is small, we continue to draw visitors from our wedding ministry, music concerts, neighborhood association meetings, and book studies. We often hear remarks from visitors about the natural beauty of the wood and stone. Something sacred in the ordinary is often the expression used. Believe it or not, we offer karate lessons here 2 nights a week, taught by 3rd, 5th, and 6th degree black belts. Our wedding ministry varies between 20 and 25 weddings per year, when there's no pandemic or world crisis. This is our annex area where we set up coffee tables and have a coffee hour at the end of every service. Now we're going to take a look outside. In addition to the beauty and charm of the sanctuary, wedding parties are often attracted to the beautiful outdoor areas, including our gazebo with surrounding hills, and we even have a nature path. The gazebo is a popular photo attraction for our wedding parties. So as you can see, it's a beautiful day here. We're going to go on back inside where we can show you some of our meeting rooms. As we walk across the annex area of the sanctuary, we're going to take a peek into our library, where we sometimes have small meetings and Bible studies. We're passing the office now, and we're going to head back down the hallway where we can take a look at the groom's room, which is on our right, and then the bride's room at the very end of the hall. Brides really like the size of this room. They're really excited about it, and this is where we hold our board meetings as well. We have an annual Eve of Christmas Eve candlelight service, which is augmented by a 12-voice choir and directed by Bruce Walker. We also have a Beatle Festival at the end of March every year. Let's take a peek in on our wedding coordinator's office. That's Susie Hoper, who does a great job giving tours. Well, we hope you enjoyed our little sanctuary tour of the Garden Chapel. Come and visit.
Greetings to convention from the Newtonville New Church Society, known as Church of the Open Word. I'm Pastor Bob Toffel, and with me is Pastor Emerita, Reverend Gladys Wheaton, who was pastor here before me, and she is now Pastor Emerita, but she's a very active part of our ministry.
Thank you, Reverend Bob, for introducing me and mentioning my 40 years. And we are celebrating that by sharing a little of that with all of you. And I'm grateful to the Lord for those 40 years. Blood, sweat, tears, and all the rejoicings in between. So, thank you.
Hallelujah. Yay, Gladys.
My name's Martha Richardson, and I'd like to welcome you to the Fryeburg New Church, all convention goers for 2020. Welcome. I would like to show you our banner. As if in convention, the first thing we did was prayed with our banners. This is our banner, and we use it for our name tags. Now I'd like to introduce you to our first minister, Reverend Bayman Stone, who was here for 40 years. And then you'll notice we have a picture of Swedenborg, which keeps us grounded. We know who we are and where we're from. And Reverend Jane Sieber, our president of convention, says she likes this room and the ministers hanging on the walls. So I would like to introduce you to them. Over here, not in order, over here we have Reverend James and Reverend Rachel. James Lawrence and Rachel Rivers. And next we have Reverend Louis Dole, and then Reverend Horace Briggs, and then Reverend David Reemstra, Reverend Wilford Rice, and then you all recognize Reverend Ken Turley, and then we have Reverend Sage Curry Cole. Can't forget, she was Sage Curry when she was here, and she married Reverend Cole. And now we have Allison. And there are two ministers that are up here. Reverend Hamilton, who was here only 3 years right after Bayman Stone. He was a young man and he didn't stay long. And then Reverend Gardner Perry, who we're working on getting his. So that's our ministers. Now I'd like to show you our beautiful sanctuary with our altar and our Bible open to welcome you all here. And then our beautiful ST organ, which has the most beautiful music. And maybe you noticed that our church was built in 1879 and is on the Registry of Historic Buildings. And I hope you come visit again someday and enjoy our service or our beautiful church. Thank you.
The Fryeburg New Church Assembly sits on 22 acres of pine forest on the Saco River. After the Rising Bell and Polar Bear swim, there's always a cheery fire in the fireplace in the main building. After a hearty breakfast, our daily religion program begins with morning chapel for the whole camp, followed by first and second lectures for the adults while the children are in childcare. Then the children and teens head off to their religion classes, which are often very creative and always participatory, while adults who want more participate in the adult discussion group facilitated by one of the ministers on staff. We say or sing grace before every meal, and after a nutritious lunch, the afternoon is available for catching up with old friends on the porch, hanging out on our bright and sunny deck, and a wide variety of spontaneous games, including card games and board games and volleyball on the back field. Lots of campers spend the afternoon down at the clear, cool waters of the Saco River, where we have lifeguarded swimming every day, a relatively private beach, and several canoes available for campers' use. After a delicious supper, the teens and young adults can often be found playing horseshoes or foursquare, while other adults gather on the porch and deck to talk and watch the children playing Sparks games on the lower lawn, which sometimes happen indoors depending on the weather. Evening activity ranges from serious presentations to slideshows and travelogues, special lectures, and our much anticipated stunt night, which keeps everyone laughing and entertained with music, skits, and comedy. The annual sales table auction is also a fun and funny fundraiser for the assembly. The teens have their own activity each night before bedtime. 3 times a week, it's Flames games. There are family cabins overlooking the river, private rooms, and tent and trailer sites available. The Mountain Division Rail Trail across the street from the assembly is the scene of the Reverend Dr. George F. Dole Celebration 3-Mile Road Race, or the Dole 3-Miler, held the middle Saturday of camp. This race draws runners from throughout New England. One recently called it the funnest race around. The FNCA Centennial Celebration next year will celebrate our past and our future. Please join us at what was originally called the Promised Land and now is described as our little slice of heaven.
Hello everyone, this is Eleanor Schnarr at Hillside Swedenborgian Church. As always, there's a lot going on at Hillside. This year, we have expanded into a new garden ministry. We are growing food and donating our harvest to communities in the Bay Area. For more on this, I am happy to introduce Nate Seacrest, our head gardener, who will take us around the gardens and show us what's growing.
Hello, and welcome to the Hillside Community Church Garden. Here we got some royal snap peas, we got some beautiful flowers, pollinators, we got some strawberries, and of course the lovely amounts of kale. You can even come up here and just, you can already see it's being loved on by some insects. Well eaten. Got some beautiful bumblebees up and down, all this space. You got the beautiful view of the city while you're gardening. And the crunch of snap pea. Delicious. We got many other garden spots. This is one of 3 garden spots here at the Swedenborg Hillside Church. And couldn't be nicer. I'm really happy about this spot. These peas are really delicious right now. Hey everyone, Gardener Nate here. Just showing you the sunniest of sunny gardens here. We got some beautiful flowers in bloom. This is the lettuce. The bolted got a little too hot, but the tomatoes, bumblebee pollinated by the bumblest of bumblebees. And deep in here we got some basil that's been swallowed by the tomato plants. Here we got some more basil. We just planted some squash over here. And we got a few peppers that are starting to come up. We just planted those last week. And this is our biggest and sunniest garden we got here at Hillside Church. It's beautiful and really popping off. It is so happy to say it.
True Christianity, number 259. The Word was like a garden. It ought to be called a heavenly paradise. In that garden, there are delicacies and pleasures of every kind. There are delicacies made with the different kinds of fruit, and pleasures to be had from the flowers. In the middle of the garden, there are trees of life with fountains of living water next to them. Surrounding the garden are the trees of a forest.